everybody, it is high time for a book haul. I haven't done one of these in about 5 months. Not that I haven't been acquiring books at a very steady rate throughout the year, I've just forgotten to set things aside and to film. But in the past 2 weeks I've gotten a sizable amount of book mail and I thought it was time to share. So this is going to be a motley collection of things that I have been sent, things that I have bought myself, things that I have read, and things that I haven't read yet. I'm going to start off with the books I've received from the publisher. I recently requested some physical review copies from Tor and they were so kind as to send me a couple so far. The first one you may have seen because I showed The Man in the Tree by Sage Walker in a Friday Reads video when I first got it. This is a science fiction novel with a murder mystery plot and I have read it already and I'm going to do a review on it very soon. It turned out to be a little bit different in many subtle ways from what I had expected, but I ended up really liking the meaning of the story overall, so more thoughts on this one soon. And this one is coming out on September 12th. Also coming out on September 12th from Tor is Iraq Plus 100. The subtitle of this is the first anthology of science fiction to have emerged from Iraq, and it is edited by Hassan Blasim. I believe this has 10 stories in it, and of those, about 8 are translated, which is of course why this made it onto my list. I'm trying to read more translated works this year, and Iraqi science fiction, I've never seen that before. So the premise of this is that Iraqi writers are asked to envision what their country might look like in the year 2103, a century after the disastrous foreign invasion. So it says, born out of exhaustion, fear, and despair, these wonderful stories are fueled by themes of love, family, and endurance, and woven through with a delicate thread of hope for the future. I really haven't read any Middle Eastern type science fiction at all. I've mostly read fantasy that's inspired by Middle Eastern themes and traditions, so the science fiction aspect of this could be very interesting. And the last thing that Tor sent me is Autonomous by Annalee Newitz. This is her debut novel, I believe, and it's coming out on September 19th. It is one of my anticipated releases for the remainder of the year. You'll almost certainly be seeing this in my next upcoming releases video as well. So what is it about? Let me just read the description here. Jack is an anti-patent scientist turned drug pirate, a pharmaceutical Robin Hood traversing the world in a submarine, fabricating cheap scripts for poor people who can't otherwise afford them. But her latest drug hack leaves a trail of lethal overdoses as people become addicted to their work, repeating job tasks until they become insane. That sounds a little bit like interesting commentary on workaholic American culture. Hot on her trail, an unlikely pair. A brooding military agent and his partner Paladin, a young indentured robot. As they race to stop information about the hacked drugs at their source, they form an uncommonly close relationship that neither of them fully understands, and Paladin begins to question their connection and a society that profits from indentured robots. It sounds like it's going to be a very interesting story, and they sent a piece of swag with this. I think all books should come with this. I think it's a little Lego figurine. Some assembly required first, so let me put this together. Look at that! I'm pretty sure that is Paladin, the indentured robot. That is pretty cool, and I can't wait to read this now. And the other book that I have received is Pavane by Keith Roberts. This is one of the SF Masterworks that I hadn't really heard of before. A viewer asked me if I wanted this because he was getting rid of it, so thank you, Scott. That was very generous of you. And after I've read the description on the back of this, I thought, that sounds really interesting. So this says, in 1588, Queen Elizabeth is felled by an assassin's bullet. Within the week, the Spanish Armada sets sail and its victory changes the course of history. In 1968, England is still dominated by the Church of Rome. There are no telephones, no television, no nuclear power. As Catholicism and the Inquisition tighten their grip, rebellion is stirring. This sounds to me like maybe a science fiction version of a similar idea that was tackled in Randall Garrett's Lord Darcy stories, but that was fantasy. The premise of that one was that sorcery and the magical arts were discovered rather than the laws of science, so the 1950s and 60s were dominated by like forensic sorcery rather than technological inventions like fridges didn't exist. and this sounds similar. I am down for this. I think the alt history aspect of this sounds very interesting. Now moving on to the books that I've purchased for myself, I will continue the SF Masterworks theme. I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to have a book haul unless I have at least one of these. But I have bought 2 of the most recent releases in the line. The first one is Raising the Stones by Sheri Tepper. I don't know if this is a direct sequel to Grass, but it is set in the same universe. And I've read the back, and I think it boils down to colonialism. I'm gonna find out very soon, though. I think I'm gonna be buddy reading this with Joe because he also got it, and I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. I'm gonna be reading more Tepper soon. I think I have this and an omnibus of her works, so I've got quite a bit to dig into. The other recent release I got is The Doomed City by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. They were Russian, they wrote in Russian, and they were brothers, and I now have all of their books that are out in the SF Masterworks line. This one is translated by Andrew Bromfield. I have only read Roadside Picnic by them so far, however. So the back of this says, "It is a mysterious city with an artificial sun bordered by an abyss on one side and an impossibly high wall on the other. Its inhabitants have been plucked from different periods of 20th century history and left to govern themselves, advised by the inscrutable mentors." This is the experiment seen through the eyes of Andrei Voronin, a young astronomer from 1950s Leningrad, whose rise through the political hierarchy has a devastating effect. I don't have much more commentary on this one other than that it promises to not be American-centric, and that is one of the things I'm looking for in books now. And one final yellow book, I also got the SF Gateway Omnibus of Pat Cadigan's work. This contains Tea from an Empty Cup, Mindplayers, and Fools. Fools is why I needed this. It is an Arthur C. Clarke Award winner, so I need to read it this year for my project, and it's been devilishly hard to find a copy here in the US. I don't know if it's out of print or what, but I decided to just break down and get this omnibus from Book Depository. I also know I want to read Mindplayers. I think it is Denise's favorite book by her, and she's said good things about it. Now on to the last 3. I got Richard II by Shakespeare. This is the updated edition from the Folger Shakespeare library, and I got it now because it just came out in this trade paperback size, which is preferred. Most of the Folger editions are mass market, and I don't like that, but I think they might be updating some of them and getting them in this larger size. It's so much easier to open them up and, you know, like see things that aren't hidden in the gutter and stuff. And this will be the first historical play that I read by Shakespeare, hopefully soon. I've recently gotten a real yen to get into this, so it should happen soon. If it doesn't happen soon, feel free to bug me about it in the comments. And the last 2 that I bought, I have already read, and I wanted nice copies of them. The first one is Embassytown by China Mieville. This is, I think, the UK edition. All of his books are in these editions, and they are gorgeous. I wanted to pick one up to see it in person. It just says the cover design is by Crush, so I assume that's an agency rather than an artist in particular. I think they're so well done. I might even have to get a replacement copy of The City in the City because I have a pretty generic American edition, and I'm so tempted to get matching copies of everything that I like by Mieville. Anyway, this is a science fiction novel that heavily features alien language and communicating across cultural and physiological differences, and I loved everything about it. And the other one is Orbital Cloud by Taiyo Fujii. This is one of those books that I bought 2 copies of. I bought the Kindle and then I bought the physical edition because I enjoyed it so much. This is a near future science fiction novel featuring a lot of stuff in orbit. North Korea may have just sent up some things that could take out the International Space Station and everybody's satellites, and gotta stop that. I've done an entire review on this one if you want to go hear a much better summary of it and what I thought about it, but for sure, I loved it. Let's see if I can hold this up without dropping something, because it's really heavy. These are all of my recent acquisitions. If any of these sound good to you and you want to talk about them, please leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.